All right, well, I was really segueing into it. Now is our Smackdown recap. This was the 15th anniversary special. Quite a bit to cover here, both big and small. First off, Adam Rose had his first loss in the WWE on the main roster.
Sure did.
Yeah, lost to Kane, which was pretty much a squash match, really. Adam Rose didn't even get that much offense from what I recollect. So yeah, Kane pretty much demolished him. Adam Rose is no longer undefeated. They finally acknowledged that he was undefeated when Kane finally beat him, so I'm like, wow, a little late to the party, guys. So that happened. Rusev and Ziggler had an awesome outing with each other. And you know what? I want to make a comment both, I guess, on Rusev just to continue that dialogue and Ziggler. One, I thought Rusev was terrific here. I loved how in the end he comes off as dominant even when he may struggle throughout. So now he's beaten the Intercontinental Champion by submission, no less. So now I feel like he has a reason to go after the United States title. Again, the anti-American sentiment seems obvious. And now the Intercontinental Championship, because at least in WWE's model, you beat the champion, you get to the front of the line. So there's that. And as far as Ziggler goes, his matches are always terrific, so the IC Championship doesn't change anything. But the fact now that he's holding the IC Championship while having these great matches, I think is really doing great things for the perception of the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, you even said it about how you agreed with what I said earlier, that the IC title is really gaining a lot of credibility because of Dolph. And like the fact that you kind of pointed it out during this match really spoke volumes, because I completely agree with that. Like when he has these crazy matches with Randy Orton on Raw, and he gets like surprise wins over random guys that you wouldn't expect, and he's just being booked really, really well. And the fact that he's being booked really, really well while holding the Intercontinental Championship is working wonders for the Intercontinental Championship credibility.
Absolutely, Ash. Here was a guy who, being much smaller than a lot of Rusev's current opposition anyway, was really able to take Rusev to the limit here. I was really surprised how much they gave Dolph in this match. He even got a famouser off on Rusev at one point, which I think is a big deal considering the circumstances. So yeah, this has probably been some of the strongest booking that Dolph has personally had, I'm going to say, since, for me personally, he was the United States champion, because I remember him having some strong booking during that period as well. So great to see him have it while being Intercontinental Champion. Again, Rusev gets the win. Thoroughly enjoyed this match. Another match I enjoyed was the 15-man tag. You know, at first I thought, oh man, this is going to be stupid. This is going to be so, over-cluttered. But you know what? I thought every person was used the best that they could be. And ultimately, I thought it was a really fun match to see who was the greatest general manager of all time. So.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, though. I'm not trying to say that it was, stupid weird, but I don't know, like the whole opening segment with Stephanie and Johnny and Teddy Long doing their back and forth and a 6-man tag match, and we're gonna do a 10-man tag match, and then Teddy comes back with, it's the SmackDown 15, so let's do a 15-man tag match, and then ended up being 7.5 versus 7.5 because of the frickin' dwarves involved. Like, it just corny. I don't have a problem with the match itself. It wasn't bad or anything. Just the idea behind it was kind of stupid.
I can understand that wholeheartedly, Ashton. The next thing that I'm going to bring up is what I'm dreading talking about the most. In fact, I'll put it to you this way. If we were still doing SmackDown reviews formally, this would have been a heat of the night for me. Triple H and The Rock potentially teasing a match at WrestleMania.
What? Oh, I thought this was the best segment of the night, dude.
Here's the thing. It was an amazing segment. I just really didn't like what it was suggesting.
Why?
That's how I'm
Who
going to put
the
it.
frick else is Triple H going to work with at Mania?
I was hoping potentially he would work with Ambrose at this year's Mania, personally.
Well, if I had those hopes high, this would have disappointed me too, but I didn't, so this is going to be awesome to me.
Here's the thing, Ashton. You know me with stuff like this. I'll definitely come around to it, without question. I'm not going to hold a grudge for long. It's just, I feel like Triple H being in this authority angle could be used in much better ways, against the people that he's been actively trying to oppress or keep down from what they've wanted.
See, now that's where I have a problem, John, because to me, Triple H hasn't been a full-blown heel in months. Triple H, he's done some stuff, like locking Ambrose in the closet and silly stuff like that. But to me, he's gotten to the point that he's more of comedy relief than a full-fledged heel.
And I can see where you're coming from, but I still think while the Authority is together, which I think is a whole nother commentary, you know, the whole Authority storyline in this stable and everything, and he's still, you know, one of the heads of it alongside Vince McMahon. You know, we're supposed to take him as this heel guy, and he has been really trying to protect Seth Rollins and giving him advantages in this and that. And I don't know if that's going to be seen again at Hell in a Cell. That's going to be interesting to watch on.
I don't know. I feel like the heeliest of heels right now is Rollins. Like he's the guy that everyone wants to pay to see get beat up. Like he is the number one heel in the WWE right now. And then I would say behind him, probably Rusev, but again, I'm kind of torn on that. And then behind him would be kind of the combination of Orton and Kane, with Orton probably being ahead because Kane loses everything except for apparently against Adam Rose on this show.
And you know what? I would agree with you on all counts. And like even with Orton, I feel like, because I've even read that a turn may be coming for him, and we could see like on Raw, just to kind of, you know, hint at what we'll be talking about later, there did seem to be some tension between him and Rollins.
Right.
But as far as Rollins being the number one heel, I would agree with that assessment completely, actually. So you're not
right. But I mean, I feel like 6 months ago I would have said that Triple H was the top heel in the company.
Right, so it shows you like the power shift, how things have changed.
Yeah, and I would say pretty significantly even, because like 6 months ago I would have said the number one heel was Triple H, the number two heel was Stephanie.
Right.
Now, I don't think either one of them are really in that conversation. Stephanie's probably still the top heel of the Divas division, but even then, like, she's not even really doing that much anymore. It's like she passed her heat off to Nikki Bella, or at least tried to. Obviously, Nikki fumbled it at the goal line, but what can you do? But then Triple H, I feel like, isn't really even that much of a heel anymore, because it's gotten to the point that he does just as many favors for baby faces as he does for heels, just because the heel guys that he's supposed to be friends with piss him off.
That is true. That is true. I mean, Triple H has definitely been shown to be a guy that whether like he's trying to actively protect you or not, if you get on his bad side, it's not going to end well for you.
Like tonight is the perfect example. He made a rash decision where he gave babyfaces an advantage over Seth Rollins because he gave Ambrose and Cena their contract on a pole match tonight rather than waiting until the Sunday that they would be facing Rollins later on in the night for, and making them wear each other down before one of them gets their hands on Rollins. So they gave them, whichever one won that match, an advantage tonight.
Right. Absolutely.
So again, and he did it in a way that really kind of implies that he is kind of neutral, because the way he built it up, and he got his Triple H voice on, and he was hyping everything up, and it was like he wasn't really doing it as a jerk, he was doing it for the crowd.
Right. You know, I will say this. I do think this match could be successful for WrestleMania because these two have a rich history, which you know would be touched upon. In fact,
that's my thing, because like when I was younger, when I was like 11, 12 years old, I always saw The Rock as Triple H's number one nemesis.
And I think a lot of people would agree with you. In fact, what I was getting ready to say, Ashton, is it's funny that this match may happen, because I know the leading commentary from like a lot of Attitude Era fans, especially, is that WrestleMania 2000 should have been The Rock versus Triple H one-on-one, and that it got ruined when you added Big Show and Mick Foley to the mix. So this is like the WrestleMania match we never got.
Right.
Rock and Triple H one-on-one, which I think could be a nice selling point for those who remember that and who hold that feeling about it. So yeah, I mean, this match would certainly do well. I just think my thing was, I don't know, Triple H still can have really great matches, as was evident, at this past WrestleMania when he had his match with Daniel Bryan. And I was just looking forward to him working with more guys that he has openly tried to keep down. I don't know, just the idea of Ambrose versus Triple H seemed really appealing to me this year. But I'll hop on board as soon as it all gets around and the story takes off. So really maybe I should classify it more as a nitpick than a heat of the night now that we've really talked it out.
Right. All right. Did we miss anything from SmackDown?
There's
Miz
one
TV?
more thing. Miz TV was the only thing. Pretty much Cena got the upper hand on Ambrose.
And you know what's really hilarious? Just to tell you how transparent they were about this, my mom was watching this and she said, "Oh, well, Ambrose had the upper hand on Monday, so Cena's going to win this interaction."
Yeah, literally, I'm sure everybody telegraphed this. It was an alright segment. Ambrose, once again, was phenomenal. Cena was good, too, and I liked what he said, but he kind of killed it for me when he brought out the baseballs. I'm like, really, John? Like, I don't know.
Dude, you know what I really hate about something, just a small aspect of the John Cena thing?
What's that?
I hate it when he pretends to play analyst. When rather than saying, Dean Ambrose, I want to beat you because of this, this, and that, when he takes a step back and he breaks the fourth wall and he says, it's going to be the WWE's youngest rising star versus the man. It's like, dude, you're taking me out of it when you do that crap. Like, when he does that, when he takes that step back and he tries to look at it from like an omnipotent point of view where he's like the ring announcer, it's just obnoxious.
I think what really bothers me, Ashton, and I've felt this way for a while about Cena, in certain feuds when he's going against the rising talent, talent that's really got a lot of momentum, is that he really seems to, I don't know if belittle is an accurate word, but it's the best word that's coming to my mind right now. So like belittle condescend. Yes. Like it's Dean Ambrose, who is 1/3 of the most dominant faction of all time.
Dude, how many times have you done that? Whenever John Cena's in a feud, it's Ryback. He's blah, 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 blah. It's Bray Wyatt. You need to take him seriously, blah, 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 blah. No, you can't freaking do that with John Cena anymore. Like, you shouldn't have been able to do that with John Cena for the last, 6 years, since he's probably been doing it since 2005.
I know, but it doesn't make it any less.
I just imagine random people doing wrestling podcasts in 2007 being like, "It's the Great Khali."
But I feel like my contention still has merit, despite the fact that I could see where you're coming from. Like I'm tired of Cena coming off as very disrespectful to the opposition, like, "Oh, well, you need to listen to me because I've put in the time," and I've shut the hell up. Yeah. Like we all know indies are a thing. We all know, even if you don't want to count that, even if you want to make that independent, again, Dean Ambrose is part of the Shield, who, if I remember correctly, John, handed you your ass quite a few nights when you had your problems with them. I don't know. It just seems like he's treating Ambrose like a little kid when he's not. He's a man with a very legitimate gripe. He's, to me, again, the top babyface in the company right now.
Cena is almost 10 years Ambrose's elder.
Yeah, well, maybe he just needs to get the F out. So, there you go. I don't know. It just consistently annoys me. But thankfully, this feud is behind us, and I'm just like, Ambrose is able to do okay. And that's been the biggest thing, is that I really feel like Ambrose held his ground beautifully. So we all know that he's going to be okay. So that's all I really have to say about that.
All right, let's move on.
All right, let's get on to our Monday Night Raw review. And I was just talking about the man, and so he appears, because we begin this show with Dean Ambrose. Long story short, guys, he comes out and he says, "Look, I've had my problems with Cena. We both won Seth Rollins, and I don't really like that Cena is coming in my territory, trying to eat off my plate. I will get my hands on Seth Rollins, and, Cena laid me out last Friday, so now I'm going to retaliate in our contract on a pole match. I am going to beat him viciously." I think he even said he was going to take the pole off and then beat John Cena with it. Very violent tendencies from Ambrose. But then you have Cena come out, says, "Look at you. You have all this pent-up aggression, this anger, and rather than directing it towards me and itching to, fight me, you should be in the bag, training for the biggest match of your life." Says, I'm a veteran. That's my veteran advice. So it really seems like they're going to come to blows. Then the Authority comes out, being Triple H and Stephanie. They say, well, Stephanie says that, wow, I don't think they're going to fight each other. Triple H is like, no, I think they're going to explode. I mean, look at them. They're just itching to go at it. And they seem to, in their own way, try and egg the situation on. The Authority then says, well, let's put it to the test. Standard bet between you and I. Let's put John Cena and Dean Ambrose together. And I was so ready for against Randy Orton and Kane, but WWE pleasantly surprised me. They said, let's put them together to be in a triple threat tag team match. It'll be Cena and Dean Ambrose versus the Usos versus Gold Star. And that's pretty much our opening segment in a nutshell.
Yeah. And I mean, heck, I like that they actually went there. Like, normally, like you said, you would expect, John Cena and John Cena and Dean Ambrose versus some combination of Rollins, Kane, and or Randy Orton, possibly all three of them in a handicap match like they did last week. But no, they just completely swerved us. They took a left turn when we were expecting them to stay straight. And they went with the triple threat tag team match against the champions and the challengers. I love it. And the one kind of weird thing that happened, the fact that Ambrose and Cena won. But on that same note, you would probably expect Cena to be able to beat both of these teams by himself. So whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Do you want to move on to the actual match and just talk about that very quickly?
Yeah, let's do that.